Hey dudes, I'm Hilah, and today on Hilah Cooking I'm making Swedish meatballs, which are a little bit better than the ones that you get at IKEA, and bonus, there's no horse meat. Sorry IKEA, no offense, but you did put horse meat in your meatballs that one time. Meat time. So I've got ground beef and ground pork in here, and then I'm gonna add a panade, I think that's what it's called, of bread and milk. So this is some fresh white bread that I just crumbled up, took the crust off. I'm gonna add some milk, let that kind of sit. This is gonna keep the meatballs really moist. Okay, I'm gonna add some onion and garlic. Some recipes will have you saute the onion and garlic first, but I have found that if you just cut the onion up really small, then you can skip that step. 1 egg. Get all that wholesome egg goodness. And then the spices. This is also particular of Swedish meatballs. I'm using allspice and nutmeg. Not every recipe will include nutmeg, but this is my great grandma's recipe and hers had nutmeg. So booyah, in your face, non-nutmeg people. I'm gonna add some salt. Be generous. Don't be skimpy. Gone are the days when people worked an entire year for a tablespoon of salt. And some pepper. Finely ground, please. And I'm just gonna use my fork to kind of get this egg a little bit mixed up before we mix everything up. Okay, remove jewelry, wash hands, ensure that you have no open wounds on your palms. And then we'll add our soaked bread. Just get it started. Vegans, I'm sorry. Now you just want to get in there with your hands. If you have a stand mixer, you can also use a stand mixer and keep a little bit cleaner, but I'll do it with my hands to show you how. Just like that. You just make that sound and mix that up. Well, that didn't take long. Once your meat is mixed up, we can start making our balls out of said meat. So this is just a piece of wax paper. I'm just gonna help the balls not stick to it. I'm gonna go ahead and form all of these into balls about that big. You could go a little bit smaller if you were doing like cocktail size, about a tablespoon of meat mixture. Once they're all rolled out, you just want to put them in the fridge for 30 minutes. That's going to help them set up, and it's going to make them stay in a more round shape when you go to cook them. You can also freeze them at this point, and then when you are ready, just cook them frozen in a skillet for a few extra minutes, and it's a great quick meal to have on hand. When your meatballs have chilled, we're going to brown them in a skillet in a not skimpy amount of butter. So I'm going to put in a little more than a tablespoon. And then once the butter's melted and starts to foam, we can add the meatballs. You don't want to cook too many at a time because you want them to get really nice and brown. If you overcrowd the pan, then it's going to cool it off too much and they'll just steam instead of getting browned. So for a skillet this size, I wouldn't try to fit more than 12 in there. And then I'm just going to kind of wiggle them. This is going to help them keep their round shape a little bit better, and that's really just aesthetic. Just sort of turn them fairly frequently, but don't force it. If it's sticking, just leave it be until it releases. Okay, so once they've all got a little bit of color on them, we can go ahead and take them out and set them on a separate plate. I'm going to turn the heat down to low. And we're not trying to cook them through at this point. So we're going to make a gravy and then finish cooking them in that. So don't worry. I'm not encouraging you to eat raw meat. I promise. And if you wanted to cook all of them right now, if you were serving a lot of people, you could just cook them in batches like that. Okay, so depending on how much butter you have left, we're going to add a little bit more. I want to have about 2 tablespoons in there before we start making the gravy. Just leave all those little bits of meatball in there. Those are gonna be delicious. And then we're gonna add some flour. Look, some person requested that I get a plastic whisk so that it's not metal on metal, and I did that for you, so you're welcome. It only cost me like $1. Raw stress for less. So this won't take long. We're just trying to get the raw flour taste cooked out. And then I'm gonna add in 2 cups of chicken stock. You could use beef stock if you want that or prefer that, either one. Add in a little bit and then whisk like a mad woman to get those lumps broken up and to clean off the bottom, to kind of scrape the bottom and get all those little bits of brown meatball goodness up. So once all your lumps are out, it can be kind of tricky to tell because of the meatball meat chunks, but once you're close enough, we'll add the rest and we can turn up the heat, just stir it occasionally until it starts to bubble. So now we're gonna put the meatballs back in and then let them simmer for 10 to 15 minutes and stir it occasionally until that gravy thickens up and the meatballs are cooked through. All right, so it's been about 12 minutes. You can see how thick this gravy has gotten. Well, hopefully you can see. Can you see that? Did I do that? Okay, so I'm gonna turn the heat down to low now. Make a little area here in the middle. I'm gonna add some heavy cream. This is another thing that is classic, I guess, with the Swedish meatballs, at least the way I know how to make them. Ooh la la. Okay, so at this point they're done. You could serve these over mashed potatoes or egg noodles as long as you have lots of stuff to soak up that gravy. I'm gonna just eat it like this because I lack foresight and I have not a pot of anything to serve the gravy on top of, but I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Yeah, buddy. So if you like this Swedish meatballs recipe, I also made little Swedish sweet buns called lussekatter around Christmas time, so you can check that out, even though I got a lot of comments that I did it wrong. So, oh well, sometimes that happens, guys. And I also did a breakfast meatloaf a while back, which isn't Swedish, but it does have to do with ground meat and rich things. So let me try these. They look so tender, gorgeous. Oh my God. They're awesome. They like practically just melt in your mouth. Yay. So please remember to subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when I release a new video. And also printable recipes are always available at hilahcooking.com. Please leave a comment, tell your friends, and thanks so much for watching. Hope you try this recipe. You're gonna love it, unless you're a vegetarian. Bye.